Alright guys, the fifth and final deck for the night. Yep, that's it. I still have it. It's still here. The infamous Spellcaster deck. I brought this deck out during my first tournament here at Texas. I won the tournament and people were blown away. I was so proud. I still run this deck. I ran this in the regional. People were still, kind of in shock and awe. Went up against the Gallus deck, tore up a Gallus deck. Went up against Inzectors, smoked the Inzectors. Went up against Tecgenus Fairies, smoked them too. This deck is just probably my pride and joy. And for the first time, you guys are actually going to get to see a deck profile of this specific Spellcaster deck. I've had this deck for 6 years. It wasn't one of the first decks that I did have whenever the game first came out, because I actually started building this deck after my first deck got stolen, which was a pure Fiend deck, starting with Necrofear and stuff like that. It was kind of cool, and it was before the ban list. So then I started working on Spellcasters because they were the only other cards that I had left in my collection. And it's evolved into this. Essentially, what will happen later on is that in Return of the Duelist, they have a new archetype of Spellcasters coming out. I don't know if I'll be able to resort into putting them in this deck and making a different deck completely. I might just make a second Spellcaster deck and see what the classic Spellcaster deck can do against this newly evolved form of them. Of course, there is a lot of new essentials to this deck that some people haven't really seen yet, that you haven't seen yet from Fanatics and everything. And now you're finally going to get to see. Alright, so the deck is, of course, monster and magic heavy, not really trap heavy. Let's get started. 1 BLS, because a lot of the cards in here are essentially light and dark, so you can't go wrong. 2 Endymion, who is basically the powerhouse. Get that magic back in there. Spell counter heavy, very, very spell counter heavy with this deck, and very, very easy to get those spell counters with certain cards. 1 Chaos Sorcerer. It's a spellcaster, and it's a level 6, so synchroing is not a problem at all. And then 3 Magical Exemplars. Magical Exemplars are very essential, probably in any spellcaster deck, namely because of its special summoning abilities along with spell counters. 2 Gaga Magicians. Gaga Magicians, oh man, I really do enjoy them. They mostly help with the X-seeding abilities and everything like that, and I'm really proud of this. Surprise, I have Gaga Girl. Yeah, I really like Gaga Girl because it can easily come out with Magical Exemplar. If I happen to have Gaga Girl out in the field while Gaga Magician's out in the field, it becomes the same level. And the best part about Gaga Girl is that it can either be used for an Xyz or it can be used for Synchro. So it depends on how much you really need her at that point in time. Very, 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 very good card for the deck. I'm glad she came out. Also, looking forward to Magi Girl possibly coming into America. I see that a lot of people have probably taken that into account. 2 Effect Veilers, of course, they're the ulties. Can't really get rid of them. They're very special. 2 Mystic Pipers. These cards are kind of like my draw power. I can bring them back over and over and over again with Magical Exemplar, but I can only do it once per turn. And I keep 2 just in case the other one gets banished from something stupid like DD Crow. 2 The Trickies. Used to run 3, but because Gaga Magician and Gaga Girl came into the mix, I only really need 2, and that discarding approval still kind of helps with the deck. 1 Defender, the Magical Knight, for that defensive bonus along with the spell counters and such like that. 2 Knights and Sorcerers have really, really, really helped me out with the deck completely. Knight's End can banish 2 monsters from your opponent's graveyard. Whenever I went up against an Inzector deck with this guy, I started banishing his Hornets, and he's like, whoa, wait, what? Let me read. Oh my god. He was screwed. I was very, very happy whenever that happened because it put a stop to a lot with his deck. Very, very happy that Knights In came in and helped me out. Summoner Monk. Summoner Monk may be at 3, but I keep him at 1. He really only needs to be at 1. I have the gold rare one. He comes out pretty easy. He can bring out a magical exemplar straight out to the field and start special summoning as fast as possible. Okay, now we're getting into the magics. 2 magical citadels. Some people tend to run 3 of their own specific field spell. I still only run 2, along with the terraforming, which is right here. Terraforming, of course, can help search for the specific field spell. So essentially, for me, it's always drawing it. With like the Fable deck, I can always, search for it with snow, or probably draw with it with, all the essential draw power. But this, you just draw it whenever you need it. Okay, 3 spell power grasps, which basically shortened out the deck a lot. Once per turn, can always be activated. Gain multiple spell counters out into the field based on, the specific monsters that are out into the field. Magical Dimension. Get that extra special summon in and destroy a monster. Very, very useful quick play spell. 1 Miracle Synchro Fusion, which is, of course, for Supreme Arcanite Magician. This thing, oh gosh, I really, really love this guy. We'll get to more on him later. Then, of course, we have the staples. Ultra Monster Reborn, 2 Ultra Mystical Space Typhoons, 1 Super Dark Hole, 1 Super Heavy, and 1 Ultra Wonder Wand. Wonder Wand, really, really cool. Get that extra draw power in there. In case I have like 2 magical exemplars or something, use 1 special summon Mystic Piper, pop it off, draw a card, and use his effect, whatever. Use the other magical exemplar to bring it back. Your opponent be like, you can't use it again. Be like, well, I'm just going to equip him with Wonder Wand and then draw 2 more cards. Essential draw power in the deck is very useful. It's the only deck that I really don't have Reckless Greeds in. So, I have to get some type of draw power in there anyway. There's got to be some sort of benefit. And now we're about to get to the traps. 1 Magician's Circle, very, very useful for the deck. It can bring out Magical Exemplar, Gaga Magician, the Tricky, and even Gaga Girl, especially whenever I need her most. And also very good against your opponent in case they're playing effect failures. So, say you bring out the Tricky, right? If the only Spellcaster that they have in their deck is effect failure, that's a 2,000 attack point hit straight to the life points, and their effect failure is gone. So that's why I keep 1 in the deck. 1 Mirror Force. It's the only Ultra Mirror Force that I have, and I like it to be in the Spellcaster deck, namely for the destructional purposes. Typically, I only like things that work well in a chain, but, Mirror Force has always been quite useful for me in this deck. I don't know why, but it does. 1 Ultra Torrential Tribute. It's very, very useful for the deck. I still need to get rid of a lot of monsters on, my opponent's side of the field at least. 2 Threatening Roars. Dual Terminal Threatening Roars. I got these whenever I first came here from a guy. They're really cool, shiny, dual terminal Threatening Roars. I'm not exactly so sure if you can tell. Oh, by the way, I'm really sorry if the video quality kind of sucks with this. Didn't mention that earlier, or even the sound quality. So I hope, you can all see and hear exactly what I'm saying. And then last but not least is a Super Return from the Different Dimension. At one point in time, I was at Fanatics playing this deck, and I went up against Cody. Cody remembers this card. He didn't even see it coming. A lot of people don't even think that I run this card in the deck because there's not beneficial, removing from play power. There is some removing from play, banishing and everything like that with this deck. And That's why I run it. And now we're about to get to the extra deck. Oh boy, the extra deck. So here it goes. 1 Supreme Arcanite Magician. Gains 2 spell counters, and once per turn you can activate one of the effects, either destroy a card in the field or draw a card. So good essential draw and destruction power. And a total powerhouse too. 3400 attack, what can go wrong? Let's see here. 2 Arcanite Magicians, which are probably the most essential destructive power within the deck. The Tricky and Knights and Sorcerer easily become it. Kind of easy for me to get out, so long as I have the proper material. 2 Tempest Magicians. This is what made me beat the Gallus deck at the regional. Get that, you know, extra destructive power. Hit my opponent's life points for like 5k. Great card. And then, of course, we have Explosive Magician. I don't really need him, honestly. But he's there because he's a light spellcaster, level 6, just in case if I need him. 2500 attack, so he can get past a lot. Okay, so let's see here. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 in the extra deck. So we're going to resort to the staple extra deck. So that means I get to add 9 cards. What 9 should be in there? Tiras, Adrius, Utopia, Steel Swarm Roach, and Gachi, which are basically all of my essential Xyz monsters. So let's see, that's 5 and 6, that's 11, so I can have 4 more synchros in the deck. Let's go with 1 Stardust Dragon, 1 Ally Justice Cataster, 1 Red Dragon Archfiend. Well, instead of Red Dragon Archfiend, how about Scrap Dragon? Because Scrap Dragon could actually be very beneficial. I could target my Citadel, remove a counter, and destroy a card on my opponent's side of the field. And it should work that way. Works very well. And then last but not least is probably one of the newest cards that I just gotten for the deck. It probably should be an essential card for the extra deck, but I have it as an extra staple just in case it should be needed. That would be TG Hyper Librarian. And since this deck does kind of, you know, synchro summon out the wazoo, I'm capable of drawing multiple cards. And that would be another essential proof to the draw power of the deck. So that would be the 15 cards within the extra deck. So that right there, everybody, was finally the deck profile of my ultimate Spellcaster deck. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at all my deck profiles. And, you know, maybe one day we could Skype duel, something like that. Anyways, looking forward to seeing you again. And good luck. Really, good luck while I'm gone.